The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver just released their statistics, and I think they tell a pretty interesting story. So first, let's talk about the total number of sales. They are down by about 5% as opposed to last July 2023. I think that's the big story that a lot of news sites are reporting. We saw a total number of 2,455 sales recorded for July 2023 as opposed to 2,333 sales reported in July 2024, which is about 17.6% below the 10-year seasonal average. However, the listings are still very high. So in terms of new listings listed on the market in July 2024, we saw a total of 5,597 listings. That's between all property types, detached, attached, and apartments, which is about a 20.4% increase as comparing to July 2023. This number is also about 12.7% above the 10-year seasonal average. The story of slower sales and higher number of listings is not exactly new. We have seen this repeating months after months, and of course at this point we have a pretty large accumulation of listings because the sales are not there, but the number of newly listed properties is anywhere between 15 to 20% over the 10-year seasonal average. In fact, if we look at the total number of listings, we see 14,326 total number of listings, which is about 39.1% increase comparing to July 2023. So a huge increase in the total number of inventory available on the market. This number is also about 21.5% above the 10-year seasonal average. Last July was a pretty slow month in real estate. However, that could be explained with a very little inventory being available. Now, 2024 July, there is a lot of inventory available, some of the highest levels we've seen in a pretty long time, but the sales are still not there. Now, one of the things that has happened that's very notable in the last month is the fact that the Fed has reduced interest rates. So they reduced it by 0.25% or 25 basis points. I'm sure you already know about this because if you went online, every realtor has already made a TikTok or whatever about this fact. And I actually think that there was a slight change to the market thanks to this interest rate decrease. Now, I know some people will disagree and they will say, look at the numbers. The numbers are telling otherwise. But I would argue that if it weren't for these two interest rate decreases, we probably would have seen a much slower market. I know it's hard to imagine, but I think the market would have been even slower than what it is right now. So actually having these interest rate reductions did help stimulate the market a little bit. Did it do wonders? Did it all of a sudden create frenzy and attract a whole bunch of new buyers to the market? No, but it did sort of try to balance it out with what we've seen in the past months. As far as the sales to active listings ratio, there's no surprise that this ratio is not fantastic because we see a lot of inventory, not a lot of sales. If we look at the numbers by the property type, for detached housing market, it's about 12.8%, for attached housing market, 20.1%, and for apartments, 19.3%. The two numbers that stand out to me here are the detached housing market, pretty slow, under 13%. I mean, it's usually slower than the other two, but under 13%, 12.8%, it's on a slower side, clearly. So if you're in the market for a detached house, I actually think right now is not a bad time to buy because with all the new property regulation changes that have happened, I think it will become harder to get into a detached house when the market starts to pick up. Because again, it's usually hard to get into a detached house in Vancouver just because of the price and the capital required to get into it. But at least now there is choice, there is more inventory available, so you have more negotiating power. Once the market picks up, and it will pick up eventually, we don't know when, but it will. And once the multiplex zoning takes effect, these houses are going to be very, very difficult to get into. The other number that stood out to me are the apartments. Under 20% sales to active listings ratio is one of the slowest that I've seen this market be in a pretty long time. I've been a realtor for the last 10 years and we've seen this number lower, but not many times. The apartments are not doing well, and that's because a lot of investors are not really interested in buying apartments right now. In fact, a lot of investors are listing their apartments because they are cash flow negative. There was a very interesting article that came out about investors and landlords in Ontario, in Toronto, and the statistic was something like 50% of them are underwater, they're cash flow negative. I would imagine it's a very similar statistic in Vancouver because, of course, Vancouver still has very expensive real estate and the rents are a little bit more expensive than Toronto, but not by much. In fact, if we look at the rental market, it has actually gone down year over year. So according to rentals.ca, for Vancouver, one-bedroom apartments have dropped by about 7.5% year over year, and the two-bedroom apartments have dropped by about 5.6% year over year. But with that being said, I am not a rental agent. Just from my experience of being a realtor for a very long time, I don't see the rents coming down much more than this. They're probably going to hover around this number. Lastly, let's look at the prices of real estate. So the prices have been sort of steadily frozen / decreasing slightly. For the detached housing market, we see about a 2.1% increase comparing to July 2023. And there's a slight decrease of about 0.5% comparing to June 2024, so months over months. Not really much going on here, and if we compare that number to the inflation, so it's keeping up with inflation, even a little bit lower. So if we want to look at the absolute picture, yeah, the prices have dropped if you take inflation into account. If you look at the apartments market, the prices have actually decreased by about 0.3% comparing to July 2023, and they have also decreased about 0.7% as comparing to June 2024. This is the first time in a pretty long time that we've actually seen the prices for apartments decrease year over year as opposed to have a slight increase. And again, if you look at the absolute numbers taking inflation into account, then this number looks even worse. But what I want to preface here, we are looking at the market overall. That doesn't mean that all apartments have gone down in price. Of course, it depends on what you're looking at. The downtown one-bedroom condo has gone down in price at a different rate or has gone up in price at a different rate, depending on which market you compare it to, let's say, a three-bedroom in Richmond. So there are different markets, different price points, and different rates of growth / stagnation depending on what you're looking for. So if you are in a market for a one-bedroom condo, don't assume that all of them are exactly the same in terms of pricing. Some have gone down, but some have actually gone up. And in the past couple of months, and even in the past months, I have seen some multiple offers on apartments. So even though apartments are slow, they're not slow everywhere exactly the same. Good apartments, quality buildings, they're still selling pretty well. Lastly, the prices for attached real estate, they have gone up a little bit, 1.4% year over year and about 1.2% decrease month over month. So overall, the picture is very similar to what we've seen the last couple of months. The sales are slow, the inventory is sort of piling up. I'm expecting that a lot of this inventory will be taken off market for August, and we're probably going to see a little bit more buyers coming to the real estate market, also a little bit more inventory coming to the market in fall. But of course, I'll keep you updated on this channel about everything that's going on in the market. Follow the channel so you don't miss those videos. Of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you need any real estate advice here in Greater Vancouver, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. I'd be happy to help. Also, if you're a first-time buyer or if you haven't bought in a while and you're just looking for a place to start, I have an absolutely free buyer's guide that will be in the description of this video. It's free, you don't need to sign up for anything. It's just a tool that you can use to help you get started. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.